All right, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Leadership Lessons from Ted Lasso. I'm Chris Baker, and I'm joined by my good friend Al Rattan, and we are your hosts for this session. And today we're going to dive into the second part of our 9-part series. And in our last episode, we discussed the power of positivity in leadership, drawing inspiration from this lovable and optimistic character we all know as Ted Lasso. And
Yes.
today, we're going to be focusing on another critical trait that Ted exemplifies, which is empathy. And in this episode, we'll explore how Ted's ability to understand and connect with each team member on a personal level really demonstrates the power of empathy in building strong relationships. So before we jump in, how are you doing, Al?
Man, I'm fantastic, Chris. It's been a good day. We finally got some rain in our area, which was much needed. Our farmers were freaking out a little bit because there was drought conditions happening. So rain makes everybody happy, and overall it's been a good day, and I'm glad to be here recording another episode of our Raise Your Bars podcast.
Yeah, me too. It's exciting. I really enjoy this series or mini series that we're doing now because it touches on a lot of leadership lessons that we've taught on and we believe in, but we using Ted Lasso is something that everybody can relate to. Everybody can go and watch as well and pull the lessons out. So
Exactly.
tell us what's empathy, Al?
Well, really, at the end of when it comes down to it, empathy is this ability to understand and connect with others on a deeper and an emotional level, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it really involves putting yourself in someone else's shoes, acknowledging their feelings and showing a genuine concern for their well-being. So if we look at empathy, it's really an essential quality for leaders to possess. And I think if you don't, you're probably missing out on, the deep connection you can have with your team. So empathy is a key quality that really sets you apart as a great leader, if you can really exhibit and possess this quality. And Ted Lasso is really a shining example of this.
Yeah, it's so true. And I actually was having a conversation with my boss today, and we were talking about how, or I was talking about, she was listening, about how, really it's in organizations, whatever size, we're not really teaching our leaders this skill of empathy, right?
No,
And this
no.
tool. And that I think is resulting in a lot of unrest and issues within organizations that really could be addressed with this. And Ted Lasso is our beloved fictional football coach. And I say football coach because actually he is a football coach in America, and he went to England to become a soccer coach, which we call football. And he exemplifies empathy throughout the series.
Mm-hmm.
Despite being an American who's unfamiliar with British culture, Ted takes the time to learn about his team members, learn about their backgrounds and their unique challenges. And he doesn't just see them as players, he sees them as individuals with hopes, dreams, and struggles.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think even just from the few things we've talked about so far, it reminded me just now, Chris, of the John Maxwell's 5 levels of leadership.
Right.
Really, if you aren't exhibiting empathy, you're really operating at that level one, the
Correct.
positional level of leadership, or maybe even below that. People are following you because they have to. You haven't built that connection with them. There's no trust, right? And I think that's something that's desperately needed today.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So Ted's ability to understand and connect with each team member on a personal level demonstrates the importance of empathy in building strong relationships. And as the coach of AFC Richmond, Ted takes the time to get to know each player beyond their athletic abilities. And he recognizes that his team members are really, they're individuals. And so are your team members. Whoever's listening, your team members are individuals with unique backgrounds, experiences, and challenges.
Yeah. And there's a challenge for any leader that's listening or business owner. How much do you actually know about your team?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Not at work, but how many do you know? Like, do you know, are they married? Have they got kids? What's their hobbies? Where do they go on vacation? What do they drive as a car? What's their passion? Right? They're the sort of things that you need to sort of understand. And when Ted first arrived in England, he made an effort to learn about the sport of soccer, right, and his players. He asked thoughtful questions. He listened attentively. Huge skill, that active listening, by the way.
Absolutely.
And he created an environment where his team members felt valued and understood. By doing so, he built trust and he fostered a sense of camaraderie within the team. Do you have that in your teams? These are questions to ask yourself.
Absolutely. And this level of empathy, it allowed Ted to connect with each team member on that personal level. He actively listened to their concerns, he acknowledged their emotions, and he offered support when they needed it most. And Ted understands that every individual is motivated by different factors, and by recognizing their needs, he can tailor his approach to maximize their potential.
Yes. Yeah. Cool. One notable example of Ted's empathy in action is his relationship with Roy Kent. If you haven't watched the show, definitely watch it. Roy Kent is the team's seasoned veteran. And Roy is initially skeptical of Ted's coaching methods, but Ted doesn't give up on him. Instead, he takes the time to understand Roy's frustrations, understand his motivations, and what drives him as a player. And Roy initially resents Ted's optimistic and relentlessly positive attitude. However, Ted doesn't give up on building a connection with Roy. He takes the time to understand Roy's fear of losing his edge and being replaced. And through empathy, Ted shows Roy that vulnerability and change can coexist with strength and resilience.
That's really good.
There's so much in that we could unpack and probably teach for a couple of hours, to be honest, but we haven't got time to do that. But, I encourage you to go back and re-listen to that, right? And then look at it and say, what do you need to do? A, with yourself, B, with your family, C, with your team at work, right?
Yeah.
How can you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. And really, that's where you're going to get the most value out of this podcast. You can listen to it and go on with life, or you can listen to it and put steps in place to apply what you're learning in it, right?
Yeah.
So through their conversations, Ted realizes that Roy's tough exterior is really a defense mechanism to mask vulnerabilities. And Ted doesn't, and the thing is, Ted wouldn't have gotten to know that about him if he hadn't made the effort, right?
Correct.
So Ted doesn't judge or criticize Roy for this. Instead, he offers support and guidance, helping Roy become a better version of himself, both on and off the field. And then this demonstrates Ted's ability to really connect with Roy on a deep level, seeing beyond the surface and recognizing his needs as a human being. And I think that's one of the greatest strengths a leader can possess is to go beyond that level, right? That surface level.
Yeah.
And really, by demonstrating empathy, Ted fosters this culture of trust, respect, collaboration within the team. And he creates an environment where the team members feel safe, valued, and understood, where the team members feel comfortable sharing their thoughts and their concerns openly. And you know what this does? It led to enhanced collaboration, increased morale, improved performance. So empathetic leaders are also better equipped to address conflicts. Right? They provide effective feedback and offer meaningful support to their team members.
Huge. All of that is huge.
Absolutely.
Again, as I listen to you, Al, and as we were writing this, again, the platinum rule comes out and jumps out at me here, where it's like treat others as they would want to be treated, rather than the golden rule, which is great, but treat others as you want to be treated. We don't all want to be treated the same way. That's right. That empathy is understanding how people want to be treated and then treating
doing it.
Right?
Doing it.
Yeah. So what can we learn from Ted Lasso's empathetic leadership style? Well, here are 3 key takeaways that Al and I want to give you today. First of all, make an effort to understand your team members on a personal level. Take the time to learn about their backgrounds, their interests, and their challenges. And I promise you, this knowledge will help you connect with them and demonstrate that you genuinely care about their well-being.
Yeah. And what's one thing you're going to need to do to make that happen? You're going to need to slow down.
Correct.
Slow down. I love what John says, walk slowly through the room. I mean, when's the last time you walked slowly through the sales office? When's the
Yeah.
last time you walked slowly around the sales floor? When's the last time you walked slowly through the factory floor and just connected with your
Yeah.
team members? The next thing is, while you're walking slowly through the floor, actively listen.
Yeah.
Actively listen and acknowledge the emotions and concerns of your team members. This is the second thing we need to do. Show empathy by validating their feelings and offering support when needed. Remember, empathy is not about providing immediate solutions, but it's creating an environment where the individuals feel heard and understood. And most people don't want you to give them a solution. They just want to be heard.
Right.
They need to share
Right.
what they're going through. And finally, the third thing is really tailor your leadership approach to meet the unique needs of each member of your team. And recognize that different individuals are motivated by different factors. And by adapting your leadership style, you can help each team member thrive and reach their fullest potential. And man,
Yeah.
the good things that happen when people are reaching their fullest potential, it's going to be transformational for
Right.
your organization.
Exactly. And again, Al, this applies if you are a business that has customers, right? Whether you're a business to business or a business to consumer, this applies equally to your customers. What do you know about your customers? Right? Are
Exactly.
you listening to your customers? Very often, Al and I have both been in retail for a long while. I'm not in it anymore, but I know that when customers come to us as managers and leaders within the organization, they're really just wanting to be heard. All
Yeah,
right. If you
exactly.
listen and acknowledge and understand, very often that anger, if you like, and distrust goes away.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you
Absolutely.
can apply this in all sorts of areas with your teenagers, with your spouse, with your relatives, with your friends, whoever.
Yeah.
People. This
People.
applies to people.
But it takes somebody, so let it be you to step up
Right.
and take responsibility for the
Right.
situation. That's the first step in the bars method when we talk about with business owners is taking responsibility.
Yeah.
We need to take responsibility.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, in conclusion, Ted Lasso's ability to understand and connect with each team member on a personal level really showcases the importance of empathy in building strong relationships.
Yeah.
In taking time to understand and connect with each team member on a personal level, Ted fosters a sense of belonging and creates an environment where his players can thrive. By embracing empathy as a leader, you can create a supportive and inclusive environment where individuals feel valued, heard, and inspired to give their best.
Wow.
As leaders, let's remember the power of empathy and strive to cultivate this vital trait within ourselves. And that wraps up this episode of Leadership Lessons from Ted Lasso. We hope that you join us next time as we explore another valuable lesson that we can learn from this charming and inspiring Ted Lasso. Thanks for tuning in. Share this with anybody that you think would be interested in listening. Follow us on social media, and until next time, remember: lead with empathy and make a positive impact on those around you.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Have a great day.